And just what do we have in here? After the unnecessary amounts of paper packaging, we find something hefty. Once I managed to lay it down and spent way too much time carefully unwrapping it from the excess packaging, we find 4 different kinds of stone paper notebooks. Now listen! Listen! This wasn't a result of impulse buying because it just sounds so cool. This is my actual reason why I bought them. See this? Most of my pens just bleed through when I use regular notebooks. It stops my flow of creativity because I have to either fix it, restart, or not use most of my equipment. So, after a bit of googling, I found the website. After exploring the selection, I found this cool list of features. I was intrigued how they claim to be waterproof and tear resistant, and pleased how they have less of an environmental impact by being tree-free and all that. What about the packaging though? But my selling point was the claim that the ink never bleeds through. Amazing! Besides the notebooks in their selection, they also have notepads, some planners, and even some pencils. And they too are woodless. Neat! If scrolling through the website seems too much for today, you can use the Discover tool to create just the notebook you need. Anyways, now that I have my markers and pens, I'm opening these up and giving them a little touchy touch. Feels soft and velvety, ooh! I bought 1 lined and 1 blank softcover notebook. They have a little pamphlet on the back, and I guess you could store something in there. The pages feel just like the cover. But now I notice that the pages are really thin. Surprising! Not necessarily a bad thing, but I just didn't expect that. Next I'll squeeze the corner to see how it folds and creases and if it works like normal paper would. After that, I tried how hard I have to pull for it to tear. You need a surprising amount of strength to get it going, and once you did, it felt so nasty, so wild, it felt like pulling your cuticle. As I examined the part I just tore off, it looked like it stretched and broke instead of tore like normal paper would. I'm trying to show it here, but I didn't notice that my camera didn't focus on it at all. Now, cutting the paper was a breeze and I didn't struggle with it at all. We're gonna use this paper to test our markers on it. Since the highlighters are already all over the table, we're gonna grab one and write like we normally would. Since the paper is made out of stone rather than wood, it means that the ink just kinda sits on top of the paper, not really, and doesn't get absorbed. This slightly upsets me because it means that I can't layer the highlighters at all. I'm trying to do some lines here and there and see if I can somehow manage to after all. But hey, it isn't bleeding through. How nice! I tried a pastel color highlighter to see if I can build that up, but it turns out it's still a no-go. Boo! Next I tried out some felt tip brush pens, and even when they don't bleed through, I noticed that since the paper is so thin, I can kinda see them through, which was the upsetting part. I also tried these glitter ink pens, and I was very pleased to notice that I can't see any of it on the other side when I flip it over. These bleed very heavily on a normal paper like I'm showing right here, which made me wonder if even the stone paper is mighty enough to keep it in. Since it was strong enough to do that, I pulled out my box of Sharpies. I chose one, and writing with it just felt wrong. It felt like writing on carpet or on a sofa or something. But once you get over the nasty feeling, yeah, ta-da! It doesn't bleed through. Just to compare, I did a test patch on a regular paper also, and not only it bleeds through, but it also bled through so much that it touched the paper, and luckily I didn't get any on the table. We are gonna have another successful test batch with a Pro Marker pen, and once my scatter pen finds it, we are gonna use a big ballpoint pen. This has the same kind of carpet effect like the Sharpie did. I also test your regular permanent marker, and a friction ballpoint pen, and mechanical pencil with 1.7 lead. After writing both of the test patches, I'm gonna erase it with their own eraser. Start with the mechanical pen and your usual eraser. You do need to press much harder than usual, but it's still erasable. I did switch to a bigger eraser, however. The friction pens have this rubber piece at the end of the pen you use to erase the ink with. Unlike normal, this ink is erased with heat or warmth, which the rubbing creates. Either way, again, you need to press a little harder than you're used to, but it is kinda removable, I guess. Since the paper feels so unique and velvety and soft, I just get distracted and squeeze it a little bit. But then I remember that I am, in fact, not done. Get like Gatorade! I chose this because it's blue and clear visible instead of water, and now just to compare, I'm gonna soak the normal paper first, and then I'm also gonna drizzle it to the stone paper as well. I felt very stupid doing this, and while looking at the mess I made, I just decided to take a little sip to it like it's not gonna be my problem soon. Once they had a minute to sit, I just tried to move the liquid around to see if the paper has absorbed any of it and how much of the liquid is still there. As I pat the papers dry, all the non-permanent markers that had contact with the Gatorade will just disappear with it. Result? Their claims stand strong. The paper didn't absorb the Gatorade, and all the permanent markers that are on the paper stayed on the paper. Perfect! Now, just to show, I also bought 2 hardcover notebooks, the same size, the same pages. These have a cool little pocket on the back of the book, and even though it's the same material as everything else, the sides feel different, like plastic. It also has this elastic band you can use to close the book with, and even when I didn't show, it has also a bookmark in it, yay! And that's it for my first impressions on Karst notebooks. After doing all those tests, I thought I was ready to use them. However, I'd like to make a gentle little point to some of the new discoveries I made. You can use some colored pencils if you like, but if you do, please be careful not to press too hard on the paper. As you can see here, the paper kind of stretches and wrinkles, and it's just not good if you press too much. Also, I'm no artist, but I have some new pastel crayons on me and they seem to work just fine on the paper as well. Now this is a bummer. I had to erase something from my colorful notes, and the back of the page imprinted itself on the blank page, and this does not leave. It's living here rent-free now. Moving on. This was dumb of me, to be honest, but since it's stone and it can't absorb any of the ink needs more time to dry down before you can just whoosh your hand over it. So mine did end up blending to the background quite nicely. Now, if you think these qualities are something you are looking in a notebook, go to karststonepaper.com and get yourself one. Or don't. Toodles!